the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're firing me, firing me. Yeah, you're firing me, firing me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the luck. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head.
And boom, just like that, it's Thursday night, and you know what that means. It's party time with the Video Bros. On one half of that team, I'm Bobby Munson, and the man beside me, the man with the angelic voice. Sing it with me, people. Papa Smokes! Papa Smokes, happy Thursday, brother. How are you doing?
Happy Thursday to you, Munson, and a happy Thursday to all my wrestling people out there. You're ready for some Ring Respect Radio.
It's going to be a fun one, Papa Smokes. I'm glad I was able to give that a little bit more oomph in my voice here today, because, again, I was battling that damn head cold there last Thursday. Kicked my ass for a while, but we're doing good again. So I got the voice back. We're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to rock and roll with the chat, including the third video bro right there, our boy Basser. Joining us up in the house. Evening, Basser. How are you doing, my friend?
Yo.
Thanks for joining in. It's going to be a fun one. Yeah, we're going to have some good times here, Papa Smokes. You know, the Ring Respect Radio is all about doing a lot of different things. We have some fun games. We talk some modern independent stuff, which we're going to do tonight. We also have a little show that's been very successful for us called A Trip Through the Territories. And I believe maybe next week, maybe in a week or two, one of these nights coming up very soon, either next Thursday or maybe the Thursday after that, we'll make a decision. But A Trip Through the Territories returns here on Ring Respect Radio, and I'm pretty pumped about this one, Papa Smokes.
Yeah, put on your researching boots, Munson, and kick up the old matches and the old wrestling history, because we're going to take another trip. This is going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. Loving the show, that's for damn sure. You know, we're going to have another trivia night before the end of May, but we got lots of time for that. Of course, in the meantime and in between time, we're talking some independent wrestling. You know, you and I, big supporters of independent wrestling, working in the scene kind of helps towards that as well. Hello, Astrid. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us on Ring Respect Radio. Hope you've been having a wonderful day. Astrid is going to be the very special guest of one Auntie Collins here for the Honor Ramble right after we conclude, Papa Smokes. So everybody make sure to stay tuned afterwards to get your ramble on with Auntie Collins and Astrid. But yeah, Papa Smokes, independent wrestling. We love it. We know we do. We work for Prairie Pro Wrestling. We've been in the industry for a while ourselves. But we're going to be talking about a company we did cover once here before, a company that I've been very fond of for a lot of the time that I've been involved with professional wrestling. Used to write about them. You know, it's one of the independents that I support very strongly. We're talking about SPW, Southern Pro Wrestling out of New Zealand, or Wrestling on the Edge of the World. And again, a big thank you. Check them out, SPWNZ, over on the X. They gave us a shout out and a repost over onto their social media channel there. So thank you to our good friends for showing the love and support. And thank you to all of you for showing love and support. Make sure that if you're not here live with us, hit those comment section there on YouTube. We do check those out, and we will get back to you. But SPW New Zealand, a second time around for yourself, Papa Smokes. I know I've had a little bit of experience for them, and I've got a fair amount of notes about a couple of things involved in this particular card that even go back with a little bit more depth than what we saw in this one. But second time around, are you still interested in what SPW brings to the table? I believe we've lost. I talked so long, I lost you there for a moment, Papa Smokes.
I'll just get it out of the way early, hopefully.
That's right. It was seamless this time. We did it well. So, but SPW New Zealand, I just want to get your initial thoughts. Again, this is the second time out for you. How did it go for you again this time? This company we show a little bit more love and support to going forward.
Yeah, I like these guys. They got a cool Fed going, a whole good feel about the whole thing. And I was thinking about last time. Now it's probably been 2-3 years since we reviewed that last show on here. But I know you tagged a whole bunch of the wrestlers on the social media posts when you announced it. And they supported that very well. A bunch of those guys followed me. A bunch of those guys reposted that stuff and everything. You must have made an impression on them, Munson, because they seem to like you back.
Yeah, and of course, one of those guys who did the same thing this time around was J.K. Moody, who's featured very heavily on this show. J.K. Moody, in particular, that I wrote a article piece about him being a rising star in the business. This would have been a good 6-7 years ago at this point in time. So I had the opportunity to write that, dig a little. It was hard to get some depth because he was so new in the business when I wrote that particular article. So it's going to be cool to talk about J.K. Moody here tonight and the transformation that I've seen from that time till now. And let's go right into it, because our first match of the night on Fight for Gold 2024, which everyone can go check out over at SPW's YouTube channel. They've been kind enough to share it with you. So go show them a little bit of love. Subscribe to their channel as well, too. And check out SPW Fight for Gold 2024. The Fight for Gold, just for a little background for everybody. So what this is 4 qualifying matchups that take place on this particular night. And the 4 winners from these matchups go into a fatal 4-way ladder match with the briefcase at the top, similar to the Money in the Bank situation. Very heavily on the Money in the Bank side with this thing, allowing the winner to cash in for a title shot anytime they want. Typically, those cash-ins have been more of a cash it in for a matchup against the champion, more so than a look, this champion's been beaten and battered down to all holy hell, and I'm going to take the cheap victory here like a chicken shit heel would. They do it a little bit differently. Most of the time it has been in the form of an actual matchup. Not to say nobody's ever cheated their way to a easy title victory before at SPW. Let's face it, every company has done it. Every company will continue to do it until the end of time. But our opening matchup is a Fight for Gold qualifier between J.K. Moody and the Cowboy Corey Cutler. J.K. Moody this time is representing a new group called the Black Light District. Once upon a time, J.K. Moody was more of a tag team wrestler, which we'll talk about more later in the show, because it does play a factor later on in this card. He was known as the antidote. He was the antidote of professional wrestling. He was going to make it better, but he was the babyface of the time. And this has a very similar feel to it, only this time he's got a little bit more of that aggressiveness, a little bit more of that anger towards the clown characters or the cartoon characters of professional wrestling, which he wants to cleanse SPW of. So J.K. Moody in the Black Light District. What are your initial thoughts on the idea of this particular fashion, Papa Smokes?
I like it, actually. I mean, this whole thing appeals to me, and it's kind of like a gimmick that almost rises above wrestling. He's the guy that's going to cleanse wrestling of all these jokes and improve the business by getting stuff out of there. I like it a lot. They should put this guy in AEW and let him cleanse that a little bit.
Yeah, have him go up against Tony Khan. He can do some cleansing over there. Let's not get too deep. Let's not get too deep into the Tony Khan comments. He might fear for his life here, Papa Smokes.
Well, didn't they just beat him up on the show too? Like, shouldn't he be firing those guys that just beat him up on the show if he doesn't like his backstage fights? Oh, okay.
You would think anyway. I mean, at least all of the NFL called him out for it afterwards and called him out for the fact that apparently when you have a neck brace, your head can still rotate this way and this way. As long as the neck brace is there, you're good to go. Anyway, but yes, we could.
I had to salute him for I had to salute Tony for wearing that there, for at least putting in the effort. That's he's got a little bit of a wrestling bone in his body somewhere.
He's got some learning to do on the side of how to sell. I'll say that much, Papa Smokes, but he definitely got to give him the credit for having the balls to go out there in the world of the NFL and sell the idea that he actually did legitimately get hurt. So I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of like you got to give the cred where the cred's due, but at the same time, it's like, dude, learn some selling first before you go sell it next time, because people kind of saw right through you, unfortunately, in that situation. But
well, his dad was there though too. Like maybe he had to sell it to his dad. Maybe he wouldn't get any more money if his dad suspected that it was a setup.
That's right.
All right.
Blowing in. All right. Anyway, we got Tony Khan off our chest. Let's get back to some wrestling here. J.K. Moody was in this matchup taking on Cowboy Corey Cutler. Definitely a size difference between these two individuals. I was shocked with a guy coming out with a name Cowboy. I thought I was expecting a little beefier, but he's a kind of a smaller, kind of a quick-paced sort of fella. J.K. Moody is actually kind of put on a bit of physical size, like some muscle and physical size since the last time I really saw him before he took off to go start doing the tours in Europe and stuff like that. Man, he's really progressed a lot throughout this thing. He played the heel beautifully throughout this entire matchup, really just kind of laying into the baby face, allowing at times Cowboy to get that return on him and stuff like that, get those almost near falls on multiple occasions with Moody. I like this a hell of a lot, actually. I think Moody was fantastic. And for me, as we talk about this more, is one of the big standouts of SPW. And I think has that opportunity to possibly get noticed and be something bigger in the industry. Not to say that SPW is not big. They've got a big following where they are, but I'm talking like get into the North American scene and do a little bit more here.
I totally think that he's capable of that. And I can't remember if I can't remember him if we saw him on that previous card that
he wasn't there at that time.
Okay, so this was my first look at it, but he looks good. Like you said, he looks like a wrestler. He's tall, he's beefy, he's got some tattoos and stuff, and he was representing his faction well, whatever that is, the Black Light District, but he had the whole gear and the look and everything. But again, a match is a match, but this guy gets it. Moody gets it and interacts with the crowd a whole bunch, also works with his opponent verbally and psychologically and with the referee. So, I mean, this guy's got it going on all levels. And I thought he was excellent. And to have this match as the opening match, I thought was a good idea also, because as we know around PPW, it can be a very advantageous thing to book an exciting match to go on first. I'm a proponent of that. I think you have to get the audience first before you could put some of your other preliminary matches in there, because sometimes those aren't so great. Sometimes the guys aren't so experienced and all that. Sometimes the match is a little clunky. So don't put it on first. Put two guys in that can handle having an exciting match and get the energy level of that crowd going right off the bat. These two did that. I'm not sure about the Cowboy. He was a perfectly good babyface job guy. I thought he got a lot of his stuff in, and the match looked good. It was exciting, hard hitting, and then Moody pulling out a clean win at the end of it. He did cheat throughout the match, but in fact, he ended up winning this clean via pinfall. So, I mean, there you go. Moody advances to the ladder match, and Cowboy has a good outing as well. It seemed like the fans liked him also.
Yeah, well, They did up until a certain point anyway. As you
Yeah.
mentioned, Moody took that victory. He then turns to the audience, and I wrote this note. He turns to them, how did that cowboy shit go for you? Or that's what he says to Cutler right before extending his hand to Cutler and giving him an opportunity to join the Black Light District, stomp on his hat in the middle of the ring, and get rid of the whole gimmicky stuff and become a wrestler, as J.K. Moody is trying to do. And he took the deal. He ends up taking the deal after taking an absolute beating from J.K. Moody. Cowboy, no longer Cowboy. Corey Cutler wants to be a serious professional wrestler, and he's going to side with the Black Light District. I thought this was an interesting turn. Again, one that now puts the numbers game in favor of Moody going into that ladder match.
For sure. And this card really only had two angles, so to speak of. One being the mini tournament that led to the ladder match, which would be for the belt, for one of the belts. And then the title match, which doesn't really need an angle so much and didn't really have one. But when it's a heavyweight title match of the Federation, there's kind of an angle built in there. You're assuming that the challenger has wanted this for a long time and is going to do whatever it takes to beat the champion. So yeah, this was one small little angle in the very first match that would have repercussions towards later in the show and then shows in the future.
You bet. So we'll move on from there because we got a lot to still unpack here, Pop Smokes. The next fight for gold qualifier, again, a member of the Black Light District, Sabur is the name. Sabur used to wrestle under a mask, now having ditched the gimmick mask for wrestling under his own name as himself, taking on Jacko. Jacko, one half of a tag team. His tag team partner will be in one of these matches coming up there. Gotta say, I love him and his partner's choice of a fluorescent orange outfit with the lighting that they've got going on with SPW New Zealand. It stands out like a sore thumb in all the right ways. I thought it was a nice color choice for the two of them to have that particular ring gear. Something about the way they looked reminds me of Team Flex Appeal and the way they would dress back in the day as a tag team here.
The one guy almost looks a little bit like Michael Allen Richard Clark
Really?
when he had his poodle hair anyway, or his longer hair. But
Yeah.
even funnier than their gear, I thought, is the name of that tag team, the Smoko Express.
Yeah.
That's goddamn hilarious because over the last couple of years, I've learned what a Smoko is in Australia. This is New Zealand, same thing. And I looked it up just to make sure. But it is, of course, a smoke break while you're working. You don't have to smoke a cigarette to go on a Smoko, but it's the same thing. And they're the Smoko Express. That's bloody hilarious to me.
Oh, it was such a great touch. And again, both of them can work inside that ring. This match didn't have a whole lot of oomph to it. There wasn't much there. It was an okay match and not really the fault. I don't think that there was really fault either way. I think that this one had not as much oomph with the crowd, and therefore it kind of went in. They got their stuff in. They got it done quickly. Jacko picking up a very nice win with that vice grip submission. It was a serviceable match. It was best that this one didn't go on first. I think it also kind of going on second was a little detrimental to it only because of the fact that how good that first one got everyone pumped up. This one was going to be difficult for it to live up to the hype of the previous fight.
Oh, absolutely. And smart of the booker then to structure the card that way, I think, because like you said, if this one had come first, that crowd would have been dead quiet. Another thing I wanted to bring up, just kind of an overview of the show as well, was I liked the audio on this show too, because if you listen to it with the headphones, you can hear the crowd quite clearly. You can hear them speaking to each other specifically during matches. Yeah. This was one where you could hear them very, very clearly talking about Jacko. They like him a whole bunch. I meant to write down more quotes, but I was kind of in a rush to do a couple of these matches. But I'm very much laughing at how you could hear separate conversations amongst the crowd. Some good New Zealanders drinking some ales for a wrestling show. Really good stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like listening to PPW before I edit the audio so that we don't get banned on YouTube sometimes. Only they weren't quite as vulgar as a PPW crowd, I'll say that much.
Yeah, yeah. But this is not even them chanting or yelling stuff. They're just talking to buddies
Yeah.
beside them, and it comes through on the audio of the show.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jacko ends up advancing in this one. Again, not saying there was anything wrong with the match. The match was fine. Neither guy did anything wrong. Obviously, Jacko is very well liked. I think Sabur, again, I think he's kind of he's a support player or support wrestler within that faction that JK Moody's got going on. And I think that he was there to do a job to the obviously currently superior Jacko on this one. That he did. So job well done. We move on to the next in the Fight for Gold qualifiers. We have got one of my favorites here, Papas, folks. We've got Hooligan Marcus Cool, the ace of SPW. Love this guy a whole bunch. Not only is he a football soccer player, he is a wrestler as well too, and he is mean as balls. Love this guy a whole lot. And he was scheduled to fight Jamie Taga Taasi. Sorry, that is a tough name to say, but
it's a tough one.
I like this guy a lot. He's a big boy. Apparently now a part of a group called the Congress of Light, which seems to be made up of a few people that made up the faction Detention, which we would have seen at the previous event that you and I reviewed here on the show. That one led now by formerly Professor Palmer, now Prophet Palmer, I believe is what he's going by. I think even the announcer later in the show makes a joke. I don't know if he's Professor, if he's a prophet, he names like 16 different potential names for him, just taking jabs at this guy. I thought that was brilliant. Also, this was great because Jamie doesn't come out at all, and the Congress of Light do come out in his place, and there is clear microphone problems as they're trying to say that he's not going to be there and that Prophet Palmer will be the one to take his place in this matchup, or at least giving Marcus Cool the decision on whether or not he wants to just take the pass or if he wants to have the opportunity to beat up Prophet Palmer here in this matchup. And I thought it was brilliant as soon as the Marcus Cool gets on the stick and he turns around, he goes, "I'll show you how to use a goddamn microphone," or whatever the line was that he used there. I was in stitches. This is what this guy is brilliant at.
And it's also funny that when the heel first had the microphone and it started cutting out, you're used to this one too, months a day, or you know about this one. It's tough, but the heel, they kind of have like a religious cult thing going on, and the heel was trying to say the Lord works in very mysterious ways. That's what he was trying to say when the mic kept cutting out, and the crowd was laughing at the irony of that, and you could hear those New Zealanders laughing in the crowd. Oh man, good stuff.
I'm glad you wrote that down because I forgot to write that down. And yes, 100%, so funny. Like this, you couldn't ask for a better coincidence when working a microphone. And then to have Marcus Cool take the microphone after and say, "I'll show you how to use one of these things." Oh, this was so much fun in every way. The match ends up being absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's a lot of cheating to try to get Palmer over because obviously Palmer, he's that chicken shit heel character that leads factions and stuff like that. He gets them to support him. He gets his matches in, but he really isn't the top guy wrestler by any means. He's there to end up eventually taking a beating. They allowed him to get some shit in, but then Marcus Cool took over and beat the living daylights out of Professor Palmer or Prophet Palmer from there. Obviously, there was no way this was going any other way other than a Marcus Cool victory and going to that. And the only way I thought it could have happened is if the rest of this Congress of Light would have come out and really screwed Marcus Cool out of it. But I didn't foresee them putting Prophet Palmer in there. If they would have had somebody else lined up, I would have saw that going forward. But the fact that you've got one of your most popular wrestlers in the form of Marcus Cool in there, you're not going without sending Marcus Cool to that ladder match.
For sure. And the hooligan is so popular amongst that crowd. It's crazy. Popular amongst me, too. I love him. He presents as such an ass kicker wrestler. But yeah, you couldn't really, there wasn't much you could do with this match. It was an obvious late substitution. I think the crowd knew that.
Yeah.
So you can't cancel the match. It's going to spoil the whole setup for the ladder match. So they have Palmer come out. I wrote down that this match was kind of like Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bobby Heenan, like just a complete and utter ass kicking of the heelish manager that kind of wrestles but isn't going to beat a real wrestler ever.
Yeah.
You know, and then this was another match where I could clearly hear the crowd talking. You could hear a few different sets of people talking, and we're all talking about, well, how does this work then? You know, is this a real match? Does he advance if he wins this match, or what if the other guy wins this match? They were just confused by the booking of this all the way through.
Yeah.
I was just tuning out the commentators completely because I wanted to hear the crowd. But yeah, they did what they could with this. Probably a late substitution. Jamie, who we saw on the last card, I remember him, big, tough guy, couldn't appear. So what are you going to do? You got to, whoever's backstage that can fill that spot, get in there and do it, heal it up, break some rules, go on a little run so it looks like a bit of a match. But big hooligans going over. Nobody had any doubt of that. And how entertaining he is. This guy should be in a larger federation than this at some point, too.
I'd love seeing him over in MLW kicking ass over there or something like that. It would be fantastic. But I mean, Palmer is fantastic for SPW in the role that he plays. He does really good at playing that particular role. Like you said, a fill-in guy. He's there ready to go. He's able to take bumps. So he can go in there and he can make the crowd hate him, and he can make everybody love Marcus Cool that much more, and that's what he did. Marcus Cool's going to the ladder match, but we got one more spot to fill, the fourth match, and this one very interesting. We got Ozza, one half of the Smoko Express tag team there as well too. This is the one he's got the curlier hair on this one, going up against K9, who was Kane Khan is the name that he used to go by. This was the other half of J.K. Moody's tag team initially, multi-time SPW New Zealand tag team champions were Kane Khan and J.K. Moody, and they actually had left the company at the same time to head on over to Europe to do a lot of more over in Europe there for a while. But Kane Khan actually came back to the company a little bit before Moody. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, this one I thought 100%. I'm like, this is a former SPW champion. 100% he's going over. There's no way they're going to put the tag team into the ladder match together. That is not possible. And that's why the booking of this went so beautifully, because I didn't foresee the result coming that came with Ozza taking the victory in this one. I foresaw once we saw what the result would be. Once the twist to the matchup happened, then I kind of saw it coming at that point. So we get into this matchup, good, solid matchup. This was one of the better qualifiers for sure, too. This was a strong bout between two solid wrestlers. And then the turning point is when J.K. Moody actually comes out, grabs a steel chair, and I'm thinking to myself, even though this is his former tag team partner, I don't foresee him going and causing Kane to get to that final matchup with him. I have a feeling he's going to assure that Ozza makes it there. We'll talk about the promo he cut later about this particular event, but he ends up hitting Kane Khan. Ozza picks up the victory in this one. I got to get your thoughts, Papa Smokes, because again, I thought this was the strongest match we had since the opener.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it wasn't because of Ozza. He's okay. I mean, yeah, he's okay, but I liked K9. He was a cool heel, and I liked him. And Munson, he reminded me of Sheik Akbar Shabazz a little bit. There's something about that greasy heel demeanor that he had throughout this match. the way he moved, the way he cheated, it reminded me of the Sheik in a good way. So I like K9 a whole bunch, but of course he wasn't destined to make it to the ladder match, and now we've got both members of the Smoko Express going into the ladder match. So it kind of puts the question in the fans' minds: are they going to work as a team, or are we going to see the implosion of the Smoko Express due to both guys wanting to win this match, get the briefcase, and go on a singles run as a champion? So again, not too bad. Puts the question in the fans' minds. They were kind of wondering that you could once again you could hear them talking. Hey, both of the Smoko are in this, going to be in this ladder match, and yeah. Okay, did the trick. This was pretty good. It was definitely better than the next match we're going to talk about.
Yeah, before we even talk about that match, let's talk about the promo that ends up getting cut backstage when the Smoko Express are deciding
Yeah.
if they should, after they go about winning the ladder match or whatever, they want to go after the tag titles was the general idea. Mention was even about them using that briefcase for a tag title shot, which can't imagine a whole lot of teams
Ooh.
there that you would necessarily need a briefcase to guarantee your spot in the tag division. But they have mentioned in this, all of a sudden JK Moody came back there and he said to them that that I didn't go out there and hit K9 because I wanted you to win. I hit K9 because I didn't want him in that final. I'd rather fight you two than have to fight one K9. Such a dig at the two of these guys
Oh,
in that one shot. So devilishly delightful. I loved this promo from Moody.
same. And Moody showed his value to the company. He was all over this card.
Yeah.
2 matches, promos, backstage run-ins, turning on people, recruiting new people. I mean, he was the man on this show. And with talent like that, I can kind of see why. Great promo and again, setting up more uh, tension for the title match or for the briefcase match and the ladder match.
You bet, yeah. And so much more was going to unfold. We'll get through this one a little bit quickly. Tag title match on the line. It's the Golden Light, James Shaw and Golden Boy Ryder versus the Southern Alps, Chalky Murdoch and Adam Avalanche. Oh, this was a big boy matchup with
Yeah,
very, very long for a big boy tag team matchup. There was quite a bit of silliness within this one. I don't know if the crowd loved it that much. I wasn't big on it. I found myself a little tuned out. Again, I'm not going to discredit any of the guys involved with this matchup or anything like that. Maybe other matchups would be a little better with them. I'd have to give it a shot, but this particular match didn't click for me, and it was probably my least favorite on the entire card overall.
oh, same by a long shot for me too. And you tuned out a bit. I just started fast forwarding. Like once I saw some of the comedy stuff they were trying to do in this match, which really wasn't going over so great with the crowd. Yeah, I was fine. It was long too. It was almost 15
Yeah.
minutes long. I just yeah, I wasn't invested. Nothing against the talent. I thought the one Southern Alp guy that looked like Bam Bam Bigelow, he was pretty okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, yeah, it's
I think
they
the
wanted
sorry.
a tag title match and had one. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think the Congress of Light faction as a whole, I don't have a problem with that. I actually kind of think that works in the context of what they're doing. I think that could be something to flesh out properly. It just this particular matchup, again, with the comedy and the length of it and stuff like that, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Maybe it's somebody else's, but this just wasn't the match I was hoping it would be. So I think, all due respect, we're going to move on from there. We'll talk about some stuff that was a little bit more for us. And normally, I don't get too overly excited about Money in the Bank. I don't get too overly excited about multi people beating the hell out of each other inside of gimmicked matchups because it gets a little overdone. But this one was a whole hell of a lot of fun this time around. The Fight for
Yeah.
Gold briefcase match featuring J.K. Moody, Marcus Cool, Jacko, and Ozza. This one had a lot to unfold. Again, the commentator having to mention that J.K. Moody and Marcus Cool have not been in a ring together since about 2018, I believe the comment might have been. So a long time. Actually, no, this was the best part. I think the commentator said since 2018. So he goes, so like 3, no 4, no 5, maybe 6. I don't know. My math is completely wrong, but it's been a hell of a long time since Marcus Cool and J.K. Moody have been in a ring together. Kudos to the commentator. I mean, even when he was messing up, he had a good laugh about it and he moved on, came back strong. I really enjoyed his commentating throughout the night.
Yeah, no, the commentary was good, and especially for you know a little bit more about this federation than me, but I'm more or less just dropping in once in a while, and he set the stage and gave you a little idea of the background and everything. That's good commentating to me.
Yeah. Oh, 100% it was. So we were going to find out if Jacko and Ozza could coexist in this. And for the most part, they tried to. At one point in time, they even had, this is a comedy bit that I was okay with when they got to the top of the ladder and tried to do rock, paper, scissors for the briefcase. I was like, all right, I'll let it slide because this is modern day wrestling. You're going to have something like this in one of these matchups. It didn't last too long. It was just enough to make them look a little silly for doing it. And then Moody come in, flip the script and push them both off the ladder, taking back advantage of it. The story being told match within the match is J.K. Moody and hooligan Marcus Cool wanted to beat the living daylights out of one another throughout this entire thing. There was a fight going on between these two gentlemen all throughout this matchup that inevitably led to what I would say was the shock turning point of the matchup when Marcus Cool decided to jump off a very tall ladder through J.K. Moody on the tables, taking them out, essentially taking the both of them out of this matchup, which left Ozza allowing him to go to the top of that ladder and grab that briefcase. I would have never put my money on Jacko or Ozza on this one. I am shocked by it. I'm not saying it's a bad move. The company obviously realized the popularity of this tag team, the popularity of these two individuals, and they've always been about pushing their up-and-coming talents that they're getting over with the audience to that top picture. And that's why their champion that we're going to talk about in the next matchup, their Cool Guy Sky, again, was one of those wrestlers at one point in time, was on his way up, was in tag teams and all this kind of stuff, and inevitably got there himself too. So we'll see what they do with Ozza and that victory. But I think more so than Ozza's victory here is that story that they're telling between J.K. Moody and Marcus Cool.
Yeah, very much so. And those guys jump started that match immediately. You could see that they were very familiar with each other. Excellent, actually, the two of those just massive brawling. I can't say enough good stuff about the hooligan. Man, if I was a 10-year-old wrestling fan again, that would be my favorite guy by a long shot. Not only is he's like a Steve Austin, very violent. You can't imagine anyone really being able to stand up to him. But he's a baby face and he connects with the crowd through that kind of. The crowd wanted an ass-kicking guy, a guy that doesn't care about anybody's feelings, just completely beats them and destroys them in the ring. And that's the baby face. It's beautiful and it works somehow. I don't know how exactly, but of course the fans will get behind a rugger or a soccer player or whatever this guy used to be like. He looks like one of the lads that when you were a kid you looked up to thinking, man, I'd like to be a tough, talented, athletic guy like that. And look at Hooligan. He's just slapping people around in SPW. It's excellent, and the crowd just loves it.
Yeah. And you believe every word he says. Like when he's talking about going and kicking people's asses, you believe that he has no fear. It doesn't matter how big his opponent is or what kind of training they've got. This is the guy that goes and has 6 beers on the weekend after watching the football matchup and then goes out looking for a fight just for the sake of looking for a fight. And he's going to go up to the biggest, meanest SOB that he can find, punch him in the face, and start the whole goddamn thing himself. And there's going to be a bunch of the people standing around rooting him on because they're like, that guy's crazy. but I love the shit out of him.
For sure, and hence the name hooligan. We all know about soccer hooligans or football hooligans, usually known as a criminal, as a bad guy. Except if he's for your team, right? Now he's a hero. Now he's a good guy, and this hooligan is for the home team. He's for the crowd, and that's why they love him.
You bet. Brian Carter joining us up in the house, Bob. So saying that sounds
Yeah.
like Munson at the bar after PPW. No, it sounds like Munson during PPW is what it sounds like. That's when people start talking smack or stealing those VIP chairs or something like that. Then evil Munson comes out and I want to fight, kind of thing. Bar, I'm usually pretty good. I don't want to fight at the bar. I want to drink. I want to drink with the boys and have a good time at the bar. I don't want to look for a fight. That would halt it would halt the drinking process if I got in a fight there, Brian. I mean, you can't disrupt the beers.
So is it evil Munson now or bad Bobby? Which is your alter ego there? Because I've seen bad Bobby, and I'm not messing with that guy. If he can fight how he talks, I'm worried.
He's kind of a wicked SOB. That one. We don't want to ever see him again. But who knows if these animals at the PPW shows keep running their mouth like they are there, Papa Spokes. You never know. Bad Bobby might have to make a return for a few beatdowns there at a PPW show. I might have to bounce a few of these clowns at the show here coming up in June.
Oh,
we'll see.
Tell me about it, Munson. I lay in bed at night and pray to God that one of these guys will take a swipe at me one of these times because I want some action.
At least we then have a good excuse. It's like, we're just bouncing them. We're the video bro bouncers here at ringside. If somebody acts up, we got to take them out. That's just plain and simple how it goes.
Oh, no doubt, man. I'm salivating sometimes. I shouldn't wish for someone to interfere, but sometimes I kind of do.
Now I kind of wish that Marcus Cool would make his way over to Saskatoon for one time to come join the video bros at ringside there.
Yeah.
We could have a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
Fighting and beating people up. It'll be great. Marcus
Special
Gould.
cameraman enforcer.
Yeah. You just stand there as our bodyguard. looking out for us. That would be a hell of a lot of fun. And he was a hell of a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to being able to watch him and J.K. Moody one-on-one again. I think that would be a quality matchup. Ozza is now the briefcase holder. We'll see where that goes from there. And speaking of that SPW championship, our main event to the evening, we have the returning Adam Brooks coming back to SPW. Adam Brooks is somebody who is world traveled, well known across the globe on the independent scene. Somebody who, again, I'm shocked has not been picked up by one of the bigger feds because he has got all the makings of quality wrestler and he has done all the different tours. A lot of experience under the belt, going up against the champion, Cool Guy Sky, who's been holding on to that belt very strong for quite some time. And shout out to Cool Guy Sky, who checked out the last review that we did here on Ring Respect Radio, and also shouted out the Video Bros here. So Cool Guy Sky is number one in our books here on Ring Respect Radio. And then, so this
after that last...
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say after that last review, Cool Guy Sky was all over it. He was following people. He was retweeting stuff and everything.
Yep.
Good guy. I like that a whole bunch. He was a mid carder back then. I was happy to see him. He's made his way to the top.
Yeah, made his way to the top, holding the championship strong. And wasn't it great when, before they even started playing his intro music itself or whatever, they got the Will Smith portion from the Ali movie there, doing the bongo drum there. The champ is here. The champ is here, doing that spot. I know it's been done a lot in wrestling, but I loved it. I love doing that spot.
Yeah, I also like that too. I didn't know what was going on at first, and then I realized, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. That's totally cool.
Yeah, you bet. And why not? He's Cool Guy Sky, so he should have a totally cool entrance like that. He comes out ready to defend that belt, and defend it he would. This matchup was solid. This is what you want out of a main event, a one-on-one title matchup. You got a very viable opponent in Adam Brooks. You've got a world-traveled, very experienced professional wrestler, former champion, somebody who poses a massive threat to your baby face champion, Cool Guy Sky. And this one went back and forth. At times I thought, there's no way that Adam Brooks is sticking around long enough to be the champion. That can't be the case. But then there was times in this matchup I did believe I was completely wrong and that maybe they were going to pull the trigger on an Adam Brooks victory, especially having Ozza picking up the briefcase. I thought maybe that's their way in. Maybe Ozza picks up an easy victory over an already beaten up Adam Brooks, possibly, but wouldn't be the case. Our boy Cool Guy Sky there defending valiantly, picking up the victory. Papa Smokes, your thoughts on this matchup?
Quite good. I liked it as a world title match for SPW. When Brooks came in, I thought, oh shit, this guy looks good. He looks like a traveling journeyman wrestler. He's got the look, he's got the tan, he's got a good build, handsome guy, kind of got the cool pants. He almost reminds me a little bit of like a younger Alexander Hammerstone kind of thing. He's not that big of a body like him, but same kind of aura, a cool guy, a strong guy, looks like a wrestler and all that. I like him. And another wrestler that came to mind when I was thinking about Brooks was he's kind of like maybe Down Under's Matt Cardona, like the king of the indies.
Yeah.
Travels all around. Anyone that can pay his price, he'll come and do a main event match, make your main guy look good sort of thing. I have the feeling that is kind of Adam Brooks's thing. He's a journeyman, a traveler, and he'll put your top guy over and make him look like $1 million in the meantime. Did exactly that tonight. Cool Guy Sky comes out. I like him. He doesn't look as professional of a wrestler as Brooks does. Like he doesn't rock the same kind of riz, as the kids say, or the charisma, so to speak. But the crowd loves him. He's very, very popular. I have it in my notes here. Cool Guy Skies looks like Ricky Morton's gear vomited because his outfit is so wild. Like, my God, the stripes and the tassels and everything. But hey, man, if your name's Cool Guy, I guess you got to have a wild look like that. His nickname was the Kiwi Rock and Roller. Yeah. I like that too. So nothing fancy in his gimmick. He's just a cool rockin' guy. Played some cool music too. Both of them had cool songs that we probably don't know because they're from bands down at the edge of the world, so to speak. But awesome. And the lights went real low for this main event. The crowd was into it. I forgot to say, I like this venue as well. This is the same venue they used last time. It's not huge. I would say they have 300, maybe 400 people. Not too many. You could kind of see by the rows of seats, get some idea of the number. But it looks like an awesome venue for wrestling. I'm always interested in that too. And those guys obviously like that place because they've been using it for a while now. But yeah, this was an awesome match. It went back and forth. Brooks used his strength and his little bit of rule breaking and his experience kind of against Cool Guy Sky. Took it to the outside. They brawled. Sky's quite agile, so he was using that against the strength and size of Adam Brooks. Some nice flips, some nice reversals. Brooks was working on Sky's arm for the entire match and shoulder. As the good commentator points out, he's trying to set up that cross space, right? So he's working on that front deltoid area, that whole arm. That's good psychology. That works. Now there's a spot 3/4 of the way through the match where Brooks gets Sky in that cross space in the middle of the ring. This is one of the ones I thought, is this the finish? Because he was leaning on that. You know, in that cross-face hold, there's kind of the hands pulling the forehead back. Ooh, he was bending him, and you could see the mark on Sky's forehead, too, from how hard he had that hold on. And, you know, reaching for the ropes, but Brooks pulling him back in the middle, and it's like, oh, that hold was on for a long time, probably longer than most people could stand it, but Sky surviving the crossface. And then there was another there was another sequence that kind of tricked me into thinking it was the finish when Sky attempted some kind of flip or press of some kind, and Adam Brooks turned it around, got him into like a grapevine towards his vertical suplex, crossed Sky's legs, and took his outside leg. And I thought, oh boy, I'm not sure what this is called, but this is going to be a big, devastating move. It turned out to be kind of lifted him up in the suplex position, but dropped him onto a kind of a brainbuster style, but onto his knee. Ooh, Jesus. That looked really violent. It looked like it broke Sky in half, and I thought, bang, there's your finish right there. This is a great finish. Count of two. Count of two. And then I started to get antsy a little bit, like, yeah, okay, how long are you guys going to overbook this thing? And it wasn't too bad. It didn't go on much longer than that. But sometimes you see a nice, juicy finish, and it's disappointing when that's not the pinfall. You know what I mean? Like, most fans are happy that it's not because you get more match. But sometimes when a wrestler makes a close call look so good like that, you think, damn, they maybe should have called it right there. But no, the Sky was going to go over all the way through this match. Crowd was all the way behind him, chanting his name, talking in the background about how much they like Cool Guy Sky. Excuse me. And the fans have a homegrown champion there. Like you said, a dude that's worked his way up the roster and worked his way up the card. And the regular fans appreciate that. The regular fans love their favorites, just as we know from PPW. Can you imagine if Uncle Phil Deadly did that all the way from the bottom of the card through the middle and to the top? Can you imagine how much the PPW Nation would love that?
Oh,
That
for sure.
might still happen. We don't know, but it's such a success story when you see a guy work hard and actually get results through it. So they love Cool Guy Sky. So do I.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Really appreciate him, not only the sport that he shows, but also the fact that he's a cool guy. It's that kind of almost like I think they almost call him that name because he kind of is a throwback to the 80s type rocker gimmick. In fact, the Shawn Michaels, Marty Jannetty type gimmick in a sense there too. That kind of design that they had back then was what he rolls with. But yeah, again, like you said, like sometimes you as fans, like we want to see it go to that finish, but this did a good job of building up Sky's resiliency. That's the thing. It made Sky look extremely strong because, again, Adam Brooks comes with a lot of credibility about him, and the fact that he got a lot in on this guy, but he was resilient. He continued to fight back with everything he had. He wasn't going to let go of that championship. That's what you want from a fighting babyface champion. And that's why this was minted so perfectly and a great stamp on what I thought was overall a solid card. I thought I enjoyed the vast majority of everything here. I really appreciate what SPW does. They do have their own training facility. So when you say homegrown talent, a lot of the people that you see that are from New Zealand on the card are people that have trained and then come up, like we've seen with Morris Waltz, like we've seen with Riley Cruz over in PPW. That is the same with SPW. These are homegrown talents that trained there upon the company being formed and that have continued to rise ever since. They always continue to push their homegrown talent and try to do what they can to get them out into the world and, you know, really let the world know about New Zealand wrestling. And I love SPW a whole bunch, Papa Smokes. I'm glad that we've been able to talk about them more. And I hope that, you know, we'll have access to more SPW. I know that they do have a streaming service for all of their pay-per-view events and stuff like that you can watch. This one is available on YouTube, so check out Fight for Gold 2024 on YouTube, but they do have their own streaming service that if you're interested in, for a small fee, you can gain access to watching all of the different cards from SPW throughout the years. Watch the, you know, everything about the tag titles and about the main championship as well too, and some of the talent that has rolled through over that time, including a lot of the crossovers that they do with the Australian market. Final thoughts though, Pop Smokes, on this card. What did you think?
Well, just before that, I wanted to add on to what you were saying too about them developing talent through their training school. I would think that New Zealand wrestling has something a little bit in common with us up here in Saskatchewan too, is that it's kind of isolated. You can't just go to the next city and get more talent and trade talent and all that. There's probably only in two cities of any size in New Zealand. It's a very small country, so they would have to be developing their homegrown talent
Mhm.
and probably trading and borrowing talent from guys in Australia, boys and girls, as we call them in the wrestling business, boys. They would be trading their talent with Australia, guys who would have to make the trip across to New Zealand. So they would have access to some there too. But it's kind of like here, we're on our own a little bit. We have access to some awesome and fantastic talent from other areas in Western Canada, but it's a bit more difficult because they got to travel a long way to come to our show, and it's not a perfect world. Sometimes they can't make the trip, or it's a bigger commitment to make when there's such a long trip to be done for to wrestle on one show.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
But
But yeah,
final thoughts on this whole card. Yeah, I was glad when you suggested to watch some more SPW because I enjoyed it last time. Kind of only dipped my big toe into the water to test the temperature last time. Liked it, but this card was even better. These guys have a sort of a medium-sized promotion. It's not huge, but it's not small either. They've got some production value, and I was chuckling at the floor camera operators. I always notice this now, and they had some moments where they were struggling. It reminded me the one guy reminded me of myself a little bit, running around trying to stay out of the way, trying to get the shots, but it ain't a perfect world, and wrestling can be hard to do camera work for. But
yeah,
love it. These guys are awesome, man, and I would love to watch a show live sometime. Again, that's a pretty long trip to make, and I would hope to be able to someday. But I would gladly watch more of this, and I'd like to get to know the guys a little bit better too, and if they're supportive of guys like us who want to promote their product and get it out there to more people who will watch it, all the better. We would welcome that, would love that.
yeah, and I kind of feel like this one is an independent, feels close to home in that sense too. Like you say, this feels like what we're attempting to do with Prairie Pro Wrestling. Everything about SPW feels very Prairie Pro in a sense, and while the
Yeah,
characters aren't 100% the same. Again, we're talking two different countries and stuff like that. We got two different talent pools, but I feel like at the heart of it, that's exactly what it is. It's a heart that is beating with passion, with people who are passionate about the business, who are putting everything they can into it to try to make this look like a really strong company. And I appreciate everything they do, from the camera work to the ring announcers to the wrestlers in the ring to the commentator to all of the unsung heroes that are probably selling tickets, taking tickets, stamping and checking at the doors, and everybody else who doesn't get thanked enough when it comes to a commitment of professional wrestling. Thank you for what you do. And thank you, SPW, again, for showing us some love and allowing us to watch this incredible card as well, too. Papa Smokes, any other thoughts before we go to the most expensive portion of our show?
not really, but once again, enjoyed watching this, and shout out to the SPW guys. Your fans must be happy because you got a good thing going there. A thriving small to middle-sized promotion in a small country with not that many people there. Look at what they're drawing for their shows, apparently on a consistent basis. As for the shows we've watched, uh, packing them into that venue, and while it's not a massive venue of thousands and thousands, they have a good crowd, a nice hot crowd, and I think that the SPW Nation has got to be thinking life is good with a nice strong promotion like that in their hometown.
100%. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Papa Smoke. So hopefully we'll get the chance to review some more SPW here on the show. And
Yeah,
I know that, with the time differences, it might make it difficult. But again, this is a call out to anybody in SPW. If you want to come join myself and Papa Smokes on an episode of Ring Respect Radio, able to take the time to join us here. The door is open. We would love to have any one of you join us. But in the meantime, in between time, Papa Smokes, the show just got a lot more expensive with the most expensive ticker on the planet, the Papa Smokes ticker. Tell them where you're at.
Oh yeah, baby. Let's spend some more money and get that ticker going. I can be found at Elon Musk's Free Speech Wonderland, also known as X. I am at smokes_Papa. I can also be found on Twitch at Papa_smokes_.
There he is, and there is myself, Bobby Munson. You can follow me on the X at Real Bobby Munson, Instagram and Threads. We're Video Bros SK, and over the Twitch, I am Video Bro_Bobby Munson. Where can you find me next? Well, announcement. I don't think that the TNA post show is going on tomorrow, so I can't guarantee that I'll be there. But I will be joined by Astrid Pizarro and possibly Ed, and I don't know if anybody else has joined us. But the Backlash post show this Saturday afternoon, I am going to be on that one. Hopefully that'll be a lot of, in fact, not hopefully, it will be a hell of a lot of fun. So join us on that. You saw Ed and I having a ton of fun with Mark from Mark Talks Wrestling on Monday night, doing the WWE draft watch along there. So if you like those kind of fun and shenanigans, just wait until Saturday. I'm sure we'll have some more of those. Then Sunday, I'm going to be hitting back up to the gaming. It's going to be Point of View Sunday. So join me for a little gaming, a little fun, a little conversation. It's going to be a great time. You can also check out my recent release of the review of the movie Fall Guy, starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, that comes out tomorrow in theaters. I had the opportunity to see it ahead of the theatrical release. The review is up, and I'm telling you, Pop Smokes, it's kind of gone viral on social media. We got a lot of hits on that one all of a sudden, so that's really good too. So I got also maybe a little bit of a comedy video I'm working on to release here this weekend. So stay tuned for that. But that's going to be it for myself and Papa Smokes. Until next Thursday night, we appreciate you coming out. We'll see you in a week's time. Bye, everybody.